I have to speak even faster. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Live from Worktown's event in this series of international poetry collaborations organised by George Wallace. Welcome to all you folks in the USA and in Chennai. And what I will do is hand over to George to set the scene, and I will then introduce the UK contributors, and Sriram will then take the baton and introduce the Chennai contributors, and then George will finish off with the New York contributors. And I think that's enough introduction for the moment. So is there anything further you'd like to say, George?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dave. Dave Morgan from BOLTON, live from Worktown. My name is George Wallace. This is episode 6 of Poets Building Bridges. A very exciting project that we've been doing through the month of March 2022. And I must say that we're coming full circle, because my concept for doing this really comes from an event that I did with Dave and with Sriramgokul from Chennai a little less than a year ago, when they put together a reading. And I realized the potential of Zoom to do something more than just collect people randomly from anywhere that happen to be able to get people from around the world, but truly to triangulate different communities of writers. And so I broached the subject with Dave and with Sriram. I said, yeah, let's go ahead and do that for this year. And that's today, March 20th. But being, having an overly exercised brain, I quickly turned that into a 6-episode session. So this is the 6th of it, but I want to thank Dave and Sriram for the initial conception for this. So this is the conclusion, finale. It's been a bumpy but exciting and beautiful ride, and we're going to have a lot of fun today. All of you joining us, thank you for joining us from your various places around the world. We're going to hear from you. Thank you to the faithful audience who's been showing up in this limited Zoom session. Thank you to the Facebook people watching us right now live on Facebook. And to Don Krieger, who is facilitating the recording and the production of post-production posting of these events on YouTube. Thank you very much for that. So wonderful exercise, a lot of fun, and I think we've demonstrated something about poetry and what it can do in this troubled world. A little bit that we can do to bring a little joy and understanding and cooperation amongst peoples in various places around the world. So that's the purpose, that's the function. We're having a good time. I'm really looking forward to this because there's some wonderful performers here today. Some really exciting locations, including my own hometown in New York City, and from Chennai and other parts of India. But we'll start off right off the bat. I'm going to turn it over to Dave Morgan again and the wonderful poets from BOLTON and live from Worktown. He's going to introduce them and the musician from that part. So please welcome back Dave Morgan.
Thank you, George. Well, it's a great pleasure to, it's quite a difficult task, of course, to pick a small number of people to represent what's a very thriving writing community in Greater Manchester in general, in Bolton in particular. But it's a great pleasure to ask a few friends who we've worked with over the years to contribute. The first person is Emily Cooke, who is well known in Bolton as a singer, songwriter, performer, and a very well thought of musician. But she's also, like many people, turned their hand to writing, and her poetry is beautiful and lyrical and sometimes understated, but it's a pleasure to listen to. And she's been published in a few periodicals and magazines now, and I hope she'll get an anthology together soon. So I'm going to hand you over to Emily Cooke.
Thanks, Dave. That's a really lovely introduction. Can everybody hear me okay? Fab. Dave, can I just check how long do we have? Did you say 8 minutes?
Yes, yeah.
Fab, right. I'll start then with a poem. I write a lot about my granddad at the moment and his memory and all that sort of thing. And this poem is called An Ex-Museum Curator is on Babysitting Duty. It's when we used to go and stay at his house rather than do the usual, you know, take the kids to McDonald's things. He would take us up to the attic, me and my brother. He used to be a curator at Bolton Museum and had lots of, he used to lecture about clocks. So we'd sit there with the projector and lots of different slides of clocks around the world and get a lecture basically. So this is about him. An ex-museum curator is on babysitting duty. I don't remember the attic exactly, but I do remember which planks to cross that take me safely to the other side and which to avoid. And the stick that knocks the ladders down you kept in the bedroom with the flowery books. I don't remember the facts per se, but I see the projector light beam to the wall. You click your way through pictures of clocks and time itself is stopped. No sky, just a room frozen in time. A piece of light shines through the dust channels, lights up the jigsaws piled under the eaves. There's a smell of church candles and pamphlets somehow, a taste of Holy Communion wafers. I don't remember the details now, only that this place is sort of holy. And I think to myself, as the quiet hymns play in the background, I'm glad that I had a confessional. It's never not really surreal on Zoom. What shall I do? I've got a selection. Right. I shall do one in homage to my favourite tree that is outside my backyard. Over the last couple of years, I spent quite a long time in bed, recovering from COVID, and then I migrated to the yard, and this tree kept me company for quite a while. So it's called The Sycamore Outside My Back Gate, and it's after Anne Gray. The sycamore outside my back gate has a way of bending in as if it's listening, and so I talk. I tell it all manner of things. I tell it I'm a magpie, or I'm a sap-sucking lacebug come to feast on its leaves. I talk to it in different languages, sometimes in Latin, rake up my rote schoolgirl phrases. Caecilius est pater, I say. Nothing. Bam bas bat bamus batis bant. Sometimes I just shush in its language along with the wind. I tell it the stars look magic through its branches, that the moon is covered in the fake powdery snow they use in film sets and the sun is a glowworm. It doesn't know what to think. I tell it the sea is always unreasonable before it is calm, and that my heart is a confessional some days. On others it's a chip pan. I ask if it minds being alone in the tarmac surrounded by cars. How will it get its messages? Or if it heard the scientists debate whether some trees don't have to die of old age. I tell it I'm afraid of my own demise. How each day I'm grainier and you crackle against my bark hands with something that's not compassion but not unkind, and I conjure up words from your cambium, imagine they're mine, imagine them wrapping me up caterpillared. I do not remember their bulk, only that they are ancient green and umbilical. Thank you. I'll finish with this one. Oops, sorry, I'm reading this on my screen, so I just need to narrow it down so I can see people. This one is another lockdown type poem, and really is for anybody who spent a lot of time in their houses with other people. And it's called I Love You, But Please Go Away. I love you, but please go away. I need to walk around naked and remember my edges. There's things I'm afraid of that I never get to say. Haven't put my music on for ages. not loud enough for the walls to rattle and my dancing to get carried away. I love you, but I need to windmill myself around the kitchen like a 6-year-old and talk out loud all the things, that old mirror chatter you just can't do when there's other people in the room. I need to pep talk myself from the roots up, stand in mountain pose for a while and remember I'm a lion. I'm a lion, I'm a lion, I'm a lion, I'm a human, I'm a tree. There's things that I need that only I, just me, just my own body, pages, skin, mind can give, please. I love you.
Oh,
Thank you
beautiful.
very much for listening.
Thank you, Em. That's lovely. Excellent.
Yes.
Moving on, our next friend works over the border in our next borough in Salford, but she's a graduate of Bolton's University and did the creative writing and arts there. She's a teacher. She's a well-travelled teacher. She's well known as an inspirational teacher and a very unorthodox teacher in many ways. And it's our dear friend, Melanie Neads.
Hello, I love them poems, Emily. Oh, so beautiful. I was swooning away. I didn't really know what to write up until to read up until this morning. Then it is the spring equinox. So like Emily, this is going back to a lockdown poem. And it is for my husband, who is Paul Need, editor of Flapjack Press. And it is based on the poems of Neruda. And it is What Spring Does. I want to do with you what spring does with the cherry trees. On this, our unexpected honeymoon, we sleep past noon, making love, sharing bubble baths, drinking lemonade from a champagne glass. I want to do to you what spring does with the cherry trees. I feel so much gratitude. I sing morning, night and noon for this, our unexpected honeymoon in spring. The neighbour's cherry tree in bloom. You mow the grass in your dressing gown. I laugh watching from the living room. You are a clown, confetti falling in your hair, a painting. I want to do to you what spring does with the cherry trees. In spring, everything blossoms, everything new. I want to read to you the poems of Neruda, spend lazy days in bed, be cherry red in our cocoon, on this, our unexpected honeymoon. But at night, we light white candles, chant mantras of healing to the world outside our door, practice, like Emily, yoga on the floor. I want to do to you what spring does with the cherry trees. And so this, on our unexpected honeymoon, it's not just for two. My cherry heart blooms not just for you, but for a world where spring will do what she does best and blossom soon. Cherries from the trees will fall. I want an Neruda kind of love for all. What spring does with the cherry trees. The next one is a univocal poem. I've become obsessed with doing univocal poems. At work, they're obsessed with this thing called Wordle, which I don't really know about, I know, but I love. So this one is using only words with the vowel A in it, and it's called Banksy. Ban, Banksy, ban vandals' trashy art. A scandal as Banksy's spray cans fart. Anarchy blatantly attacks law and cash. Bananas as bang bang span wall and canvas. Ants, cats and gangster rats. Daft abstract. Chants sang as angry mass asks what? What? Flags at half-mast as Banksy starts class war. Abracadabra, napalm. Ban, Banksy. And the last, I can see Dave Morgan laughing, he's distracting me. This one, is a bit darker, and it's my newest one, not 100% finished, and I hope I'll get through. And I'm giving the caveat that I am aware that it's not just children dying in the Ukrainian war, so I will try and do this. 13 ways of looking at a war photograph. 1, a war photograph is the hum or a scream of an alarm clock on a television screen in a Parisian boutique hotel at breakfast, telling us it's time to put down the half-eaten croissants and just wake up. Wake up. Number 2, a war photograph can be a keepsake of a life pressed into a mother's blood-soaked hands, along with slippers, pom-pom, scarf and bubble hat. 3, a war photograph is just a silver salt chemical reaction, like the kind that happens when you fall in love or make a bomb. 4, a war photograph can be your therapist when you wake for a nightmare crying, why? Why is this happening? 5, a war photograph is crucial evidence in a court case which is yet to happen. When you bomb civilians, this is not an act of war. This is genocide. 6, a war photograph is Putin's disingenuous mirror. Like his mirror, his brain reverses images of a child in the rubble. He will not see the truth. 7, a war photograph is the ghost of an unnamed girl with her brown hair tied back with a rubber band, wearing cartoon unicorn pajamas. 8, a war photograph can be made into origami, 15 folds to make an AK-47 paper gun. 9, war photographs can be used to black out the windows of maternity wards, schools, children's hospitals, and other civilian places. 10, a war photograph can be twisted into a wand. Sorry, this thing. Paulina, the first child to have been killed, was said to have been a Harry Potter fan, and I like to believe her last words were expecto Patronum, casting a protection spell across Ukraine. 11, a war photograph can be used as wrapping paper to package aid for more than 2 million refugees. 12, a war photograph can be used as wrapping paper to package aid for more than 2 million refugees. 12, a war photograph can be given as tissues to the doctors as he angrily tells the camera, show this to Putin, the eyes of this child and this crying doctors. 13, a war photograph is simply resin, paper on which to write obituaries for Polina, Alisa, Sophia, Ilya, Kirill, Ivan, Semyon, Tatiana, Anastasia, Nikita, Marina, and 92 other children. I'm sorry if I brought everyone down. Sorry. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel. A difficult subject, to address, and a difficult one to avoid. That's all I'll say about that, really. Time will tell. We'll have to move on because we want to make up a bit of time. And our next reader is Ben Wilkinson, who I'm very, very pleased he's got involved with us a little over the last 12 months. He's a lecturer at the university in Bolton, teaches creative writing, had a couple of collections published. His most recent one, Same Difference, getting very, very good reviews. He's a poetry critic for the Guardian newspaper. So he's a very active and high profile practicing and academic poet. So over to you, Ben.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for the invitation, and thanks to Emily and Mel already for the wonderful words. I'm looking forward to hearing much more as the afternoon / evening / morning progresses. I'm going to read exclusively from Same Difference, just 3 poems from this, and I'm going to start with the last poem in the book, just because it's the only book the only poem that contains a bridge, and I thought that was sort of apt. It also picks up on the fact that this collection explores voice and the unreliability of narrators in poems, however confessional they might seem, and it's just called Northern Anecdotal. My mum is standing at the door, laughing. She's seen some sights, but this is me, 12 at most, covered from head to toe in mud from the riverbed. I've jumped off Wheatman's Bridge as a dare, not guessing the shallow waters there are home to sludge, shit, quicksand clutching at my feet. Fetched up on the banks like a flopping perch the fishermen land, my pals run off to God knows where or when. I drag myself home, a crap monster from a 50s beamer. My mum and her laughter. But I'm remembering it wrong. Not laughter, but anger, hot and sudden. And not mum, but dad stood dark in the doorway, waiting. And not the time I jumped off the bridge, but the time I first got pissed, necking white lightning till I stumbled back sick. And not me, but whoever I was, whoever this is. Like a lot of other poets and other unfortunates, I spend quite a lot of time on trains. And if you spend a lot of time on trains, particularly in this country and in the north of England specifically, you hear a lot of automated apologies. They're a kind of non-apology, and they feel sort of quite apt actually for an age in which the apology becomes increasingly meaningless, almost a kind of reflex. So this poem really just picks up on that, and it's called We Apologise. We apologise that the 1818 to Cleethorpes has been cancelled due to leaves on the line, fuel shortage, intergalactic warfare, Wi-Fi interference patterns, spilt latte from the buffet car, the spontaneous combustion of a staff member, dark matter, the axis of evil, a carriage coupling issue, major fault, extreme weather, fluctuating value of the pound, cognitive dissonance, irretrievable mass data loss, your mum, the Gulf Stream, platform wobbliness, please listen for further announcements, narcoleptic driver, insufficient rail capacity, unexpected item in the bagging area, anxiety, enfant terrible, musical epidemic, Schlemmel's disease, the last scintilla of doubt, time's arrow, widespread ennui, insert, delete as appropriate. And I'll just finish with a poem that's actually a version after the great Greek poet C.P. Cavafy. Because this is about sort of crossing borders and I suppose traveling around, I have to confess, I really like the idea of travel, but I've never really gone in for it much. But I like the idea of a new life that might be waiting for you elsewhere, one that's free perhaps from your own predictabilities. And this poem's just called A New City. So I said to myself, I'll move to a new city, a new country, some other place better than this one. Sometimes I think I can't move for my past around here. The ghosts file through me in every park, every bar. It's like the moldy novel of my life, and I just keep turning the dog-eared pages. But I haven't left, and maybe I won't ever, or can't. This city is like the smell of smoke deep in an old jacket, disgustingly nostalgic. You can hope for things elsewhere, but then you can hope for a different personality. If I wasted my life here, I guess I'd waste it anywhere. So I say to myself, anyway. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Ben. I don't know if your students are aware that you're on this day. I hope they will perhaps follow it up on YouTube and see you in the context of this world array of poets and performers. It's really good to have you participating. Thank you. Now moving on to our musician, who's also a very well-known writer, but Nat Clare has been a major contributor to the Northwest acoustic music scene for longer than he cares to remember. Certainly for longer than I can say that I've known him, which is probably 25 years. Now, Nat's particular interests include a very strong appreciation of the work of Bob Dylan, and knowing the words to all the longest Bob Dylan songs, particularly those that go on for about 15 or 16 minutes, and an essay in themselves. But I'm not too sure what he's going to do today. But he has written many quite standard songs about life in the industrial heartland of the Northwest, what you would call the heritage cities in America. In other words, those that are in a chronic state of decline. So over to you, Nat. Let's see what you've got for us.
Cheers, Dev. Thank you very much. And hello to everyone around the globe from Bonnie Bolton on a lovely sunny day, like Dave mentioned before, rare sunny day. My songs tend to be slightly long, not as long as the Dylan ones. So I'm going to crack right into them. This is a song called Ticking the Day. And it's a song about missing things and hoping that things get back to normal and start up again relatively quickly. Ticking the days. I'm ticking the days till I see you again. I'm just ticking the days. I'm ticking the where and I'm ticking the when. I'm just ticking the days. I'm just ticking the days till I see you once more. I'm just ticking the days. I'm watching the windows, watching the door. I'm just ticking the days. I'm just ticking the days. Like the young prisoner, he scratches the wall. He's just ticking the days. Like the lost lover, she waits for a call. She's just ticking the days. She's just ticking the days till there are no days left. She's just ticking the days. She's biding her time, she's holding her breath. She's just ticking the days. She's just ticking the days. And sometimes you wanna go slow, 'cause slow still gets there, you know. And sometimes you just wanna flow back home. Like the old sailor, he misses the sea. He's just ticking the days. Landlocked and lonely, he longs to be free. He's just ticking the days. He's just ticking the day till the tide turns his way. He's ticking the days. You're gonna hoist up the anchor, just sail away. He's just ticking the days. He's just ticking the days. 'Cause as I'm ticking the days till I see you again. I'm just ticking the days. I'm ticking the where and I'm ticking the when. I'm just ticking the days. I'm just ticking the days till I see you once more. I'm just ticking the days. I'm watching the window, watching the door. I'm just ticking the days. I'm just ticking the days. I'm just ticking the days. Thank you very much. So that's not as long as a Dylan song, is it? So that's Ticking the Days. This is a song, it's a warning song, and it's a song called Drink, Drugs and Divorce. The 3 Ds that can come to get you if you're not too careful. It goes a little bit like this. When I was young, I used to sit on my mama's knee. She said, I don't care what you do, son, but don't do the 3 Ds. I never fully understood until I took its course, until I did the distance with drink, drugs, and divorce. When I grew up, I tried to be a decent sort of guy, but inside I was churning up and I couldn't tell you why. But something, it ate my heart away, and I felt at my lowest. That's when I fell a victim to drink, drugs, and divorce. But drink don't stop you thinking, and the drugs can keep you high. Divorce will waltz you across the floor and hang you out to dry. I never suspected that life would be easy, but I never expected it would be so hard. I used to feel so all alone in the midst of the biggest crowd. You see, I had no one and only. I was foolish, blind, and proud. Swept away in a river of sadness, I fell down at its deepest course. You get suckered in, but you never win with drink, drugs, and divorce. But when I went to pieces, you picked the pieces off the floor. When I couldn't stand to be alone, you stayed on my side of the door. And when you and I came together, I felt some kind of force. Oh, you set me free and you rescued me from drink, drugs, and divorce. 'Cause drink don't stop you thinking, and the drugs don't keep you high. Divorce will waltz you across the floor and hang you out to dry. But when you and I came together, I felt some kind of force. Oh, you set me free and you rescued me from drink, drugs, and divorce. You set me free and you rescued me from drink, drugs, and divorce.
Thank you, Nat. The story of our lives.
Isn't it just?
However, we've survived so far. Yeah. And it's with great pleasure that I'm going to hand on to Sriramgokul Chinnasamy, because he is a man who we've been working with for 4 or 5 years now, and completely fortuitous, unexpected, one of those things that happens in life. But my God, it's introduced us to all kinds of opportunities. He's a wonderful chap, and he keeps, not just writes great stuff, but he's dedicated to organising and promoting and giving other people opportunities. So over to you, Siram.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much. And hi, Bolton, and hi, New York. A big hi from Chennai here. And it's been a privilege to be part of this event. We are proud to be a part of this event from Chennai. And many thanks to Live from Worktown and to Poetry Bay for organizing such a multicultural event for poets and musicians. And happy Poetry Day. We are celebrating a day in advance today. And firstly, I would like to invite the Coconut Milk Project. It's a 2-member acoustic band from Chennai. It's a guitar and a motley crew of little instruments. Let's hear from them why are they called the Coconut Milk Projects. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sriram. It's lovely to be here. We're really happy that we're a part of this event. It's been great listening to all of your brilliant writing and for that wonderful music, Nat Clare. Am I audible? I just wanted to check if our audio is good. All right. Okay then.
Okay, perfect. Super. We can get started.
Yeah. So we typically write about things that we all go through, but hardly find the time and the words to talk about. So I hope the 2 songs we're going to perform today resonate with you. We hope you like it.
And if you can hear the guitar, can you just give me a thumbs up?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Since the day next to Mama you lay, the souls around to live, laugh and to play. You smile with your mates, there's only love and no hate. I see you're alone in living out your own fate. Hope we can hide signs of impending doom. We smile through the silent panic in life's waiting room. Hope we can hide signs of impending doom. We smile through the silent panic in life's waiting room.
Remember when you said that I was my own best friend? I guess we're all alone.
Guess we're all alone.
The closer we get to the end, we're filling our lives with momentary distractions. It's easier to cope when we're living life in fractions.
Hope we're doing right, letting these friendships bloom. We smile through the silent panic in life's waiting room. Hope we're doing right, letting these friendships bloom. We smile through the silent panic in life's waiting room. Smile at faces passing by. Wait till the lights go out so they don't see you cry. Wait as people come and go. No one stays forever, I want you to know. Hope we can hide signs of impending doom. We smile through the silent panic in love's waiting room. Hope we can hide signs of impending doom. We smile through the silent panic in love's waiting room.
Thank you so much. We can't hear your claps, but I think watching it is great encouragement in itself. The next one's called Stolen Sunshine. This is our happy song. We like ending our sets with this song because I think everybody needs a little bit of Stolen Sunshine. I think the folks out there in Bolton will agree. A nice, lucky, sunny day for you, but everybody could do with a little bit of sunshine. So here goes.
One, two, three. When things get hard and nothing helps, you feel misunderstood. Be quiet, put on this song and think of all that's pure and good. You don't have to be sorry for the voices in your head, or even the terrible things you said. There is no right answer when you're feeling all wrong, but trust me, it won't be here for long. You're not alone, you never will be. Speak up for how you feel. You're not alone, you never will be. Speak up for how you feel. Just let me know, I'll give you all the sunshine I can steal. There is no right answer when you're feeling all wrong, but trust me, it won't be here for long. Just like this simple song.
We hope you liked that. And thank you once again for letting us be a part of this beautiful gathering. Thanks, Sriram. And I think this has been a really great experience just listening to all of you. So thank you so much. If you like the music, you can also find us, whatever platform is streaming your music in, called the Coconut Milk Project. We'd like to think we meet a bunch of lovely friends tonight. So we hope we can continue these conversations wherever it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you so much to the Coconut Milk Project. It's lovely hearing you tonight. And next, I would like to invite Srlata Krishnan. She is a former professor at the IIT Madras. She teaches literature and she is widely published author. Her works have appeared in Vasafi, Caravan, The Hindu, and Scroll. I would like to invite Srlata Krishnan to read her poems, please.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you so much, Sriram and all the other wonderful organizers, the team, for inviting me to this to Poets Building Bridges. I tend typically to write short lyric poems, but sometimes I surprise myself by writing longer poems, narrative poems. And I thought, maybe I should really read to you a couple of poems of that kind this evening. So the first poem that I'll read to you is a poem about women and spaces. And it appeared in the March issue of the journal Basafiri. It's called 3 Women in a Single Room House. Let's just give it a minute. 3 women in a single room house. 1. Not too small, not too big. This apartment with its balcony on which our son can ride his bicycle. Its kitchen with no walls, so we can cook and still belong to the rest of the house, is what I have sold my diamonds for. Thinking over the agent's glibness of my grandmother who had bequeathed them to me. They had once shone, talisman-like, in the dark of that small room where we 3 lay, she, my mother, and I, on the floor in a row, 3 women used to small spaces. 2. My mother is sitting on the only bed in the only room in the house, writing something. When she is done, I find an ink stain on the sheets. One of them is an outstretched wing. 3. My grandmother is working her sewing machine in a corner of the only room in the house. She is making me a dress 2 sizes too large, so you can grow into it, she says. And when it is done, go on, try it. 4. It was never more than 7 steps from anywhere to the only window in the single room house. And I would like to tell you that the sky floated in through the slats, filled us, my grandmother, my mother, and I, with spaciousness. I would like to tell you that we learned to take up space. The truth is, we just grew used to small spaces, the 3 of us. Rough diamonds stuck in mines that ran too deep to catch the light. The other 2 poems that I'll read today are from my collection, The Unmistakable Presence of Absent Humans, published by this wonderful small press called Poetry Wala, based out of Mumbai, India. So the first one is called Father. Father. Sometimes I say I'm going to meet my father at the park, even though I have no father. Just because it makes me like those others I knew with their mums and dads. My father left my mother when I was 2, but he still loves me. My father left my mother for another woman when I was 2, but once a week we meet in the park. He buys me cotton candy, and sometimes we read a poem or 2 together. Today, I left my office in the pouring rain, just to meet him, just to eat that cotton candy which he insists always on buying me. And every night I dream of him with a cotton candy beard, and the beard becomes the most important word in the poem that I have always wanted to write. Forgotten my phone. I'm carrying a book of world poetry in translation. In it, there's a poem titled China Observed Through Greek Rain and Turkish Coffee. I imagine my father reading it and smiling into his beard. June drizzle and the parks glistening. Not a sign of the cotton candy man. Perhaps after all, he doesn't exist. Perhaps he's like my father's beard. The feel of it on my young girl skin. There's another man at the park, a solitary like me, except he seems to know why he's there. He must wonder what I'm doing there in the rain. Perhaps he thinks I'm waiting for a lover, an illicit lover even, a lover who can't be relied upon. I rehearse the words to say to him just in case. My father left my mother when I was 2, but he still loves me. My father left my mother for another woman when I was 2, but once a week we meet in the park, he buys me cotton candy, and sometimes we read a poem or 2 together. And he will not know how to respond. As I leave the park, I watch a man who might be my father make his heavy way to the bus stop. He stops a little, as though waiting for a daughter. And then I see her, a woman about my age, walk towards him, take his arm, the two of them drowning under the fuss of the umbrella he unfurls over their heads. This last poem is called A Graveyard of Faces. And it's actually a poem that came to me in a dream, and I just wrote it up the moment I woke up. A Graveyard of Faces. That morning, I woke without a face. I had dropped it sleepwalking at night through a forest of fallen trees. The worms had gotten to all but the ears. In the shop down the road, they had just sold the last human face. Sorry, madam, we are out of stock, the salesman informed a friend. In any case, we only do disposables. And the lady, you say, wants a face that will weather the long winters of dying poems. A more permanent sort of face that would be then. We don't do those, I'm afraid. Eventually, I have to settle for a disposable. A face that will not outlast the forgetting of lines. But it can do sad, and it can do happy. It can get on better than my old face could. On the first day of every month, I walk to that forest of fallen trees and bury my face in a graveyard filled with my faces. Carefully, I put on a new one, pink and fresh from its plastic case, and, despite the absence of interested worms, die again and again and again. Thank you.
You probably put the microphone down lower. Come sit, you know.
Thank you, Srlata, for your wonderful poems. Really, thank you. And next we have Poornima Laxmeshwar. She's from Bangalore, India. She's a part of a poetry group called Poetry Bengaluru, and she has poetry books out, and they are anything but poetry, 13 and strings attached. Let's welcome Poornima.
Thank you. Thank you for having me over and let me read my work. I usually write prose poems and they can just go on and on. So I've selected two of them to read today. The first one is titled as Dream as a Door. So basically I have this recurring dream that, you know, I'm drowning and I'm never going to make it out of water. And of course, in the dream, I don't consider the fact that I don't know to swim as well. But then this is where I got the inspiration from. And it reads like this. Dream as a door. Instance 1. It is October and I am 8. I am wearing a white knee-length dress with brown flowers screaming on it. I have a handkerchief in my hand. With the other, I hold a Pa's wrist with the strength that can come from a tiny girl's body. We're standing on the bridge where beneath she flows, mud-red, mauling the earth. Amma says 3 things in nature menstruate: women, leaves, and rivers. As for her, gentle is not in her vein. She gives and loves fiercely. She's Kali, named after the raging goddess and the shade of dark. While Appa explains hows and whys of a dam construction, I don't dare look her in the eye. I lack courage. To look at the face of water is to tease death. I stand, wondering if I should take the plunge. Instance 2. It is September and I'm 16. I head to the Satodi waterfalls for an exciting trip with a group of friends. I wear jeans that has become heavy after swallowing the rain like a hungry infant feeding on mother's breast. While hopping the huge rocks, I slip, I fall. I touch the base of Kali. I see flashes, faces, colors, poetry books, homes, everything probably that death offers before it takes what it desires. A friend pulls me out. I snap up. cuffing the end, spitting it out. Instance 3. It is August and I'm 32. The sun floats on the whiteness of the sea. I stride in to feel the waves crashing at my feet, though it doesn't beg either mercy or approval. With every step forward, it sucks me in. I break down. Here, the salt is the sea. I am broken, but not enough to dissolve. Context. The Gauli Bai, the tribal woman, squats after drinking her glass full of milk tea. She's wearing a green 6-yard sari and has wrapped a faded towel with holes around. She untucks her pouch, loosens the drawstring. She spreads out the betel leaves, adds some arcanet, some limestone, some tobacco, folds them all and stuffs it in her already red mouth. She says you smell death, but that's not always necessarily dramatic. She says death doesn't come as Lord Yamraj sitting on a locally bred buffalo with a signature devil-styled helmet, gold accessories and matching footwear. Instead, death begins as a recurring dream until it becomes water, odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to read another one. So basically, I was trying to explain my daughter the axioms, and every time anything remotely mathematical, I go, yikes. So this poem comes from that. Personal axioms, that's the title. Is 1 minus 1 is always a 0. Lost hounds, feeding gaps where quarters of love slip through. How much of I is gone and how much of you remains. On a cold night when the head toe stretches out seeking warmth, a whiff of chilled air settles on its nose. Shudder pools in my back. I'm reminded of you. I retract. I Google how to let go of my mother's guilt that sticks to my uterus and how to deal with approaching menopause without losing my head to it. I learned that sometimes to lose is to defy. To hold the loss on your rough palms and sleep peacefully is the sign of another becoming. 2. Is the whole more significant than sum of parts? Every time my father fails to keep up his promise, a hole punches itself on my weak body. The crater nests words of a vernacular tongue that has tasted betrayal. Or is this feeling of abandonment? I'm too confused about the two. The words sit in a circle, listening to the darkness that makes them original. Fill the punch hole with lotuses. Repairing is what they taught us young. But whoever has been able to stop the quiet sprouting. Words slowly mix like water and salt to become the history of my spine. When I make notes and knot them, they become a suicidal song. Dear Father, I try patching myself with your ethics, but my body is a shredded chamber of falsities. Please forgive me. 3. Is the end of a line a point where the mutinies between language and ache blur my mother's lullaby? Thank you.
Thank you, Poornima, for your powerful poems. Thank you so much. And next we have Hema Praveen. She's a Tamil poet and she's an aspiring artist who chooses simple words to convey the deepest thoughts. Hema, to you now.
So hello everyone, am I audible? Thumbs up please. Thank you so much for having me here. So my first piece is about the thing which we all undergo. It's about the thing that is mostly loud, but how it transitioned into a frightening thing. Okay, the title of the piece is Why on the Earth? Amidst the dialects of affection exists a splendid form. Touch is the word by how it's known. The unalloyed means that articulates love and gratitude, a drug expelling feel-good hormones, securing us with warmth. But less often, at the least fortunate moments, some touches seem intimidating, blood-curdling, at times alarming. Those touches at the jam-packed buses, on void office floors, at energized parties, historic places, historic and holy places, not just under the starry sky, also under the broad daylight, less often by an outsider, but at the most ruthless moments by the ones whom you trusted, leaving us behind with terrible traumas and nightmares, frightening flashbacks and trust issues, causing us to go dumbstruck, trading our self-worth, confidence and secured smiles, those spine-chilling touches pushing us to freeze our tears before they pour out of our eyes instead of shouting aloud, transmuting us to a lost and helpless kid seeking mom for her rescue, and there dies no human without witnessing these darkest ticks. But why? Why on the earth should a victim be accused of being blameworthy? Why on the earth should a soul not enjoy the dawn of the present but still dwell in the nightmares of the past? Why on the earth isn't humans just treated as humans but as a toy to vent out all their sexual lust? Why on the earth does a harasser is allowed to wander guilt-free and the victim buries themselves in the dark? Why on the earth is the language of love turns out to be scary? Is it just because the human was a woman? No, every gender is the victim of sexual harassment. Is my attire the real culprit? Certainly not. Addressing clothes is just a lame reason. Or did my age cause the urge? Not at all. The list commences with the breastfeeding babies and climaxes on the corpse of the age-old human at mortuaries. But dear pure soul, worry not, for you are not the only victim. You are not alone. And my dear honorable spectators, move this victim, no more fun watching. Be the loud voice for the voiceless, also favor the assaulter with a hard punch. Let the wicked soul be aware no one is voiceless and every touch demands consent. Why on the earth can't touch just remain to be a symbol of love? So this poem was about the sexual harassment we all undergo. We would have undergone it at least once in our life, be it whoever it is, be irrespective of their gender, we all undergo sexual harassments, and how touch, a symbol of love, becomes frightening at moments to us. And my next poem is in Tamil, and I would like to post the translation of it in the chat. Okay, here it goes. The title of my Tamil poem is Draupadiyin Suvadugal. பெண்கள் நம் நாட்டின் கண்கள், மலர் போல மென்மையானவர்கள், அமைதியின் சுயரூபம், வீட்டின் குலவிளக்கு, குடும்பத்தின் கௌரவம், சத்தியத்தை காக்க பிறந்தவர்கள், தன்னலமற்ற தாரகைகள், தேவதைகள், தங்க கட்டிகள். ஆஹா, மெய் சிலிர்க்க வைக்கும் புகழாரங்கள். பெண்ணை வஞ்சிப்பவரும் சரி, வர்ணிப்பவரும் சரி, மறந்தது ஒரே கருத்தை தான். பெண் என்பவள் இரத்தமும் சதையும் பல ஆசைகளை உள்ளடக்கிய மனதையும் கொண்ட சக மனிதி என்பதை. எங்களை கொண்டாடுகிறோம் என்ற பெயரில் திண்டாட மட்டுமே விடுகிறார்கள். சில எழுதப்படாத நியதிகளால் எங்களுக்கென்று எஞ்சியது கண்ணீர் துளிகள் மட்டுமே. சரி என்று ஆரம்பித்தது பெண்ணின் தன்னலமற்ற வாழ்க்கை. புராண தலைவை நினைவு கூர்ந்து பாருங்கள். திரௌபதி சுயம்வரத்தில் வென்ற அர்ஜுனனுடன் இல்வாழ்க்கையை இனிதே ஆரம்பிக்க நினைத்தாள். சத்தியத்திற்கும் வாக்கிற்கும் கட்டுப்பட்டு பாண்டவர்கள் ஐவரையும் கணவராக ஏற்றார். கேட்டார்களா பேதையின் விருப்பத்தை? அவளின் உடன்பாடு கன்சென்ட் காற்றில் ஓடி போக கட்டாயப்படுத்தப்பட்ட வாழ்க்கையை தானே வாழ்ந்தால் முகம் சுழிக்காமல். அவளின் திராணிக்கு காத்திருந்தது மற்றொரு சோதனை. கௌரவர்களிடம் பாண்டவர்கள் தோற்றார்கள். பந்தயமோ திரௌபதியின் மேல். வேடிக்கை என்னவென்றால் கட்டிய மனைவியை காட்சி பொருளாக்கியவர்கள் புராணத்தின் கதாநாயகர்களாம். உண்மையில் அவளுக்கு அநீதி இழைத்தது யார்? பாண்டவர்கள் தானே. அவளையே பகடுகாயன உருட்டி துகிலுரிக்கும் போதும் காப்பாற்றிடாமல் பின் பாரத போர் நடத்தி என்ன பயன்? குளிர்ந்திருக்குமோ பேதையின் மனம்? புராணங்கள் காப்பியங்கள் தொடங்கி கார்ப்பரேட் உலகம் வரை ஒரு பெண்ணுக்கு எதிராய் முதலில் அநீதி இழைப்பது அவள் குடும்பத்தார் தானே. சத்தியம் யாதென்றே தெரியாமலும் தனக்கு இசைவில்லை என்றாலும் பிறருக்கு அளித்த வாக்கை காப்பாற்றுவதுதான் தர்மம் என்றும் இன்னல்களில் தன்னை காப்பாற்ற கண்ணன் வருவான் என்று காத்திருக்கும் நாமும் திரௌபதியின் சுவடுகள் தானே. உங்களுக்குள் வாழும் திரௌபதிக்கு ரௌத்திரம் பழக கற்றுக் கொடுங்கள். அவளே காப்பாற்றிக் கொள்ளட்டும். இடுகாட்டிற்கு போகும் முன்னே மனச்சுடுகாட்டில் ஆசைகளை புதைத்து வைக்காமல் தனக்கென்று ஒரு வாழ்வை வாழச் சொல்லுங்கள். நம்மில் வசிக்கும் திரௌபதி ஆவட்டு இன்பங்களை ருசிக்கட்டும். So this is my second piece about how the female lead Draupadi is portrayed and how it has the impact on the society and from where does this patriarchy comes from. Thank you for the opportunity. Hope you all enjoyed my performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Hema. And this is the voice of Tamil from Chennai. And thank you to Live from Uptown and Poetry Bay for having us here. Thanks from Chennai. Thank you. Over to George now.
Right. Thank you, Sriram. Sriram broke away from a very important personal engagement to host his group of people from Chennai and other locations in India. So Sriramgokul, I want to thank you for that. And Dave Morgan, of course, intrepid from Bolton, England. You know, I'll just say before we move on to the New York City portion that New York has a long and distinguished association with Bolton, UK. It was over 120, 130 years ago that a group of poets in Bolton, England, discovered from their perspective Walt Whitman's poetry, and actually came to America to meet with Walt. I'm not sure if he was in Camden at that point in time or if he was in Huntington, Long Island at that point in time, or Brooklyn. But that was the beginning of the Bolton Whitmanites and an association between in poetry that goes back 130 years between our two communities. So it's a very long and distinguished history. We're continuing it with this Building Bridges project. Our relationship with Chennai is only a few weeks old, maybe a month or two old. You know, we did have an opportunity, Sriram and I, to put together a video project, which went all the way to China to be debuted. So hopefully we can continue with that association as well. So it's really good what we're doing here. I'll now introduce our three poets and one finale musician from New York City to join in the festivities. Please welcome Zev Torres, a New York City-based writer, spoken word performer. His work has appeared in numerous publications, including New York City from the Inside, just released. He's in this. Since 2008, he has hosted Make Music, New York's annual spoken word extravaganza, and in 2010 founded the Skewered Syntax Poetry Crawls, a very distinct presentation style. Please welcome Zev Torres.
Let us be lovers. We'll marry our fortunes together. I've got some real estate here in my bag. So we bought a pack of cigarettes and Mrs. Wagner pies and walked off to look for America. This may take you by surprise, derail your train of thought, savage your concentration, blur your focus, knock you off course. Someday has arrived. Do not worry. In a moment, you will regain your balance and composure, find your wits have been restored. And even though you're slightly unsettled because everything appears more or less like it did yesterday, and the few details that feel different have not changed beyond the ordinary or explicable or expected, you will continue on your way, not realizing that nothing ever will be the same.
It'll be two poets and then us, two men.
Losing track of how far we've traveled, of the number of days till we return home, of the amounts we earned, of the amounts we spent, of the train station where we met, of the train stations where we slept, of how it is that we ever dreamed of a future absent direction and plan melding into a bountiful present. Maybe none of it is a big deal. The beatbox guy in the train who knew your name. Our electric keyboard that has lost its touch sensitivity and is beyond repair. We've all had days when we've done something regrettable. Remember when you rode on my shoulders down the stairs to the subway platform and my knee gave out? Or the time we did not have enough money for 2 tickets to Montauk. You hid in my duffel bag for the entire trip. Maybe none of it is a big deal, but it's not fair to forget the days we abandoned, that survive in tunnels longing to be scavenged and put to use in ways we never envisioned. There must be space in this fractious landscape for ashen shades to moderate the splashes of unprincipled light and dark, each intent not merely on proving its eminence, but with spectacular antipathy, derailing our sense of purpose, compassion, and resolve. Thanks, it's really great to be here, and I just want to thank you. Throw out that if you haven't checked out the previous installments of Poets Building Bridges on YouTube, do it. They are wonderful, one and all. So, moving on. Because you listened to a maudlin tune to soothe your unrequited affections, struggled with self-control, could not resist the urge to check continually your ex's status and the status of your ex's friends and their friends, drafted hundreds of emails and texts brimming with apologies and explanations, some of which you sent, which led to more apologies and more explanations, bursting with pleas and recriminations, some of which you sent, because you veered between renouncing your faith and desperate, fruitless deal-making with both traditional and cloud-based deities, because you slogged through a mire of burbling emotions which you endeavored to quell by gorging on videos culled from a wide swatch of genres, cute animals that play amazing feats of strength, haute couture, keto cuisine, the bizarre and the depraved. Because you forewent sleep, hygiene, and meals for 48 hours, while searching for the perfect getaway, the ideal hideaway, a mountain retreat, a cabin in the woods where you could live out the remainder of your days in solitude and tranquility. Scroll through a vast list of character defects, trying to identify the one or ones that continually undermine your relationships. Join dozens of online groups and forums where you befriended strangers with whom you shared intimate details of your experience in an effort to gather the information and support necessary to rid yourself of those pernicious flaws. Because your screen time has increased steadily week after week after week. Since the cataclysmic breakdown that followed the most recent rendition of that all too familiar refrain, "This just isn't working out," brought you full circle into the vortex of yet another spiral from which you have sporadically emerged, with the resolve to craft a new identity for yourself, free of those pernicious defects. A new identity to replace that which never lived up to your ideals and embodies your absolute willingness to consider all methods of self-improvement. You are an ideal candidate for algorithmic salvation. Thanks. And just a quick thank you to George, to Dave, and a lot from Worktown for running today's event, and for everyone in the past events, and everyone part of this one, and everyone listening, whether they're part of it or not. Happy spring, happy autumn to the people in the Southern Hemisphere.
Right. Oh, hey, good call, Zev. Nice work. So we are now to Sotschen-Hochman. Sotschen-Hochman is a well-known figure on the New York City poetry scene. She is president of 100 Proof copy editing service. She's been correcting my chat messages as we've been going along, and editor-in-chief of the online poetry journal, First Literary Review East. She's written book reviews for American Book Review, Pedestal Magazine, very nice publication by John Amon, Clockwise Cat, that and others. Author of several chapbooks. Her newest book is Telling You Everything, and that's going to be published this year. Cindy is a proud resident of Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn, where she meditates, learns Tai Chi, and is studying the Russian language. Please welcome Sotschen-Hochman.
Thank you very much. George Wallace is the best. I'm really honored that he invited me to this very important reading, which I've been enjoying. So I'm gonna, and I want to thank Live from Worktown for hosting this event, and to all my co-features and everyone who's here. I was going to say good morning, but it may not be morning where you are, so scrap that. My first poem is from my book, Habeas Corpus. And corpus means body and in Latin, and every poem in this book deals with a different body part, some sexier than others. This one is called Legs. And it's sort of an ode to my youth. Back when I was ether-eyed and doe-legged, back with my Buddha breaths and a little pastel heart, back with my unruly mop of wild wheat hair and unholy mess of wild thoughts, back when my home was the porcelain throne, back when I smelled of sea spray and foam, back when I had a quick trigger tongue, back when I was not so wound up and not so wounded, back when I'd fall down on my sweet knees and say, God bless these moon-thin legs, jackknifed and splayed with no spider veins, my precious legs in assorted beds. The second poem is was my attempt at surrealism, because I'm drawn to surrealism. And apparently it was successful because it got published in Survision from Ireland, which is a magazine devoted to surrealism. And for some reason, it has a Spanish title, which I figured was good for a global reading. It's called Nueve Preguntas, 9 questions. And the 9 comes from Dante's Inferno, the 9 circles of hell, even though I've never read it. 2 confessions. When did I stop leaping through scorched earth wildfires and blistering infernos? Why did God put a curse upon my right breast? Why did I think that gold rings and matrimony was a capital idea? When did I learn that love does not conquer all? It doesn't even conquer half. When did tubs of chubby hubby ice cream become my go-to dinner? When did I fall from that flimsy tightrope of my own making? When did my flaxen hair turn to sullen streaks of gunmetal gray? When did you turn from corporeal skin to utter dust? When did I, oh sweet Jesus, grow a tail? That was the surrealistic part. The next poem is called Inner Life with Sabotage. It was published in Live Mag by editor Jeffrey Cyphers Wright, and surprisingly, he nominated it for a Pushcart Prize, which is my first Pushcart nomination, which I won't win, but I'm going to stick it in my bio like everyone else does. Inner Life with Sabotage. This poem will be intentionally vague. Candle wicks flicker, chemicals misfire, crossed wires refuse to untangle. Sometimes I slip into something less comfortable. Carousel horses and streetlights make me weep deeply. My handsome father's death has turned into stilted breath. My benevolent brother's death is still caught in my throat. Everyone gives me flowers to fill the fissure between limbs and loss, and I bury them under layers of what? Nothing but my own undoing. A startled and startling voice tells me to go even deeper than this. Onyx and obsidian wrestle it out with a chest full of white diamonds. Frankly, my dear, I've had enough of dancing through the murk with my not so better angels. Excuse me while I remove this battering ram from my solar plexus. Let me open my palms to the hazy sunshine. I promise I will stop shaking soon. Thank you. I have two more poems. I was working on a series called I Am the Girl. It was sort of modeled after Anne Waldman's Fast-Speaking Woman, where she says, I am a bird woman, So I did I Am the Girl, and I decided to read the travel version, which kind of makes sense for today. I am the girl. I am the girl with the bon voyage eyes. I am the girl who is waving goodbye. I am the girl with the contraband in her backpack. I am the girl who won't take off her shoes. I am the girl who won't wash her hands. I am the girl who put the tower in your Eiffel. I am the girl who put the Cockney in your bollocks. I am the girl with Stockholm Syndrome. I am the girl who sold you that bridge. I am the girl who prays for Ukraine. I am the girl with a boatload of baggage. I am the girl who never leaves home without it. I am the girl who doesn't go very far. And I figured I'd finish it off with an homage to my own hometown. It's called My City is Full of, and this too, I think, has a bridge in it. Good old New York. My city is full of exercise and errands. My city is full of statistics and ballistics. My city is full of blooming flowers and Bloomingdales. My city is full of hard hats and mimes. My city is full of lunch pails and catcalls. My city is full of falling cranes and sandwiches with mayo. My city is full of clocks and cops and cabbies. My city is full of benches and stenches. My city is full of venom, denim, and donuts. My city is full of bridges, bullets, and beggars. My city is full of glasses, shoes, and teeth. My city is full of galleries, salaries, and calories. My city is full of groins and gills and gullets. My city is full of gush and splatter and sandboxes and playgrounds and academic pigeons. My city is full of ancestral homes. My city is full of IVs of denial. My city is full of churches, brothels, bars, and diners. My city is full of buses, bellhops, and boudoirs. My city is full of the promise of sex in the city. My city is full of underground railroads. My city is full of ticker tape, towers, and mosques. My city is full of rats and men. My city is full of all the greed that's fit to print. Oh, restless monk of a city. Oh, jagged juggernaut of a city. Sick, grinning, leering city. New York, I am standing on your corners in Kiss My Ass Black. New York, what so proudly we hail our taxi cabs. New York, I would die for you in a New York minute. New York, I love the way you open your King Kong arms and spread your legs to me in the cool, calm, kumbaya crotch of blessed rush hour. Thank you. Be safe, everyone. Love you.
Sotschen-Hochman, calling up Walt Whitman for sure. And joining us actually from sort of the middle of Massachusetts, but originally a New Yorker, one of the only people that I know could not only title a poem with the word "gugoots" in it and make sense of it, but entire book. Really fine poet, Howie Faerstein, who does have occasion to visit us here in New York from Massachusetts. He's the author of 2 chapbooks, 2 full-length collections. He taught creative writing, composition, and literature courses in Massachusetts, New Mexico, and Colorado, and volunteers as a mentor at the Center for New Americans. We know him as a co-poetry editor of Cutthroat, a journal of the arts. And he's part of the Florence Poets, some of whom I know are listening in or watching today, and lives in Florence, Massachusetts. Please welcome Howie Faerstein.
Thank you, George. Thank you for all the participants in this wonderful event today. The first time I saw the world, I was happy. It's been wonderful, even with death, tripping each night over a different limb, beech, birch, balsam, inventing love along the blind road. Nothing has stopped me. Down the same steps every evening, red wings flying through late March snow. Make a sound like Lear in a storm. Do not abdicate. I want to tell everything, how I crave cake but rarely eat it, about my aunt living in a schoolroom and my uncle bathing in limes, how as a child I asked, why do we all think different if we're all the same? Teeth, arms, feet, trees stretching in warmth, nighthawks in hidden sky. You're not home from school, stoned when your mom opens the door. You're old, the age of beheading. fixed still by symmetry, lemony light of regret, pear light of hope, each dusk footfalls in black wind, dirt dragged through the small hours, moon mouthing, do not.
Howie, have gone mute. Howie, have gone mute.
Okay, so this one is for my daughter. It's called Brando, her godfather. Conceived on the night we saw last tango in Paris, she's always been my child, that much I'm sure of. I was so much larger then, could hold her fullness against my chest, lying there in the sunken living room, my legs pulled up, sweet Jack in the Box perched on my knees, a pyramid, a slide, and when I splayed them open, she tumbled down. I was roller coaster, rocking chair, slingshot, catapult. She was counterweight, payload, cannonball, curled tongue snaking out her mouth, resting on lower lip. Joyous she was, over and over, hilarious, again and again. Love was that easy. And this one is Monarch. Anchored to a spent daisy in the forge of continuous summer, an orange and black speckled butterfly had spun her silk pad, had shed caterpillar skin, had burst capsuled chrysalis, and I named her Whitman and water and wind, her forelegs vestigial held close to her body, and I named her fish and sparrow. And when she lifted with a sound of light rain, she flew beyond milkweed stalks, above a caution sign and grooved pavement, unbent, unbridled, and I named her Otter and Fire. And when she rose among asters and comets, luminous, when she stroked through cloudless blue, unclosed, unbidden, I named her Unmechanical. Now I call her Mist and Dawn. I looked, knowing her gone, a pool of blue shade in her place. Okay, one more from this. This was the latest book. It's called Out of Order. And this poem is called After the Butterfly Walk, and it's on page 9, Howie, if you can. Okay. After the Butterfly Walk. Isn't that a dead fawn in a shallow pond, 100 white admirals shielding it? Are they sipping the body's salt? Isn't it time to turn the earth? Wasn't summer shorter than usual? Is your right hand and my left hand grasping in unison? Once I lived with a woman whose mother cursed her to die in childbirth. She lived and we were family. Weren't the leaves vein green? Didn't we see fledglings take flight? Didn't wasps forswear the shuttered life? Wasn't it light when we woke? Didn't we discover 3 sisters buried side by side? 3 weathered headstones in a cemetery hidden on the Isles of Shoals. Tell me, are your memories the same as mine, or maybe your summer was longer than childhood? I ask, knowing you've no recollection of ever being that young, and maybe hornets never flew in your hair. Aren't they still retelling the old myths, generation after generation? Weren't my parents refugees also? Was that a gunshot? Is the farmer shooting rats in his piggery again? Isn't it enough to have, then remember? This one is a new poem inspired by recent work by Diane Seuss, who really blew me away with her latest book. I tried to write these 14-liners. This one is called Legacy. Having survived a despot's reign, prolonged drought, the novel pandemic, a kilo of pot, bale of hay, we explained, falling through a railroad flats fireplace to neighbors beneath. Distinctions have deliquesced as the basement walls effloresced. 2 moons in white sky, brother closer to me than sand, than fog. Years ago, we could see a saddle between Sun and Moon Mountain, while sapsuckers drilled resentment in a metal roof, which led to the decapitated rabbit, hole in screen door, and dead parents remaining dead. To my knowledge, no one calls them anymore. She told me he raped her. He told me she was frigid. I'd rather be inattentive if that's still possible. This tableau, their bequest of gloom, a scammer's demonic voice on the cell, maternity hospital bombed by Stalin's ghost. Usain Win, Myanmar poet, had a bucket of petrol thrown on him by the junta's assassin, his face burned off. Applying vinegar and water, I wire brushed the efflorescence. I'm working on the deliquescence. It may be past time to make distinctions. And last poem, I hope I'm not taking up too much time. But once I start reading, it's hard to stop.
You're fine, go ahead.
Okay, last poem is called Bricolage. Because of a chiromancer's prophecy and the stippled surface of time, because I am slack-jawed, monogamous, a survivor of 5 o'clock fever, because I knowingly confessed, I take fiction on faith, not on account of or by reason why, not for the reason that, only because reality strikes us 150 frames per second, because the fuzzy pod of milkweed remains upright in the storm and fireflies cast the yard into a frenzied field of flight. There were so many tangles I stumbled through to get here. For instance, my love line that a Texarkana palm reader gently traced in 3 separate directions. Because gnats whirl in a faint breeze as geese shoot for the lake. Because cast-off elders live in their cars and box elder bugs copulate backwards as inchworms dangle, then loop. There are 100 ways to arrive at the same place in this town, and still it's possible to get lost, which is true of many things. Because there's a model penis in a jar filled with alcohol in a Mississippi courthouse. Because the flag tacked to the door is painted in ignorance. Because memory's a sinkhole opening at the back of one's throat. Because what is remembered is surrendered and the pension's death benefit is irrevocable. Because repetition is unavoidable and failure inconceivable. Because war is continual and life ends so quickly. Thank you.
Howie Faerstein, thank you so much. And finally, from the New York City contingent, we turn to Didi Champagne. Really excited to have Didi Champagne.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, let me praise you first, Didi. Let me say a couple of kind words about you. We have all the time in the world. Native New Yorker. She's since the mid-'80s, she's performed in New York City stage, many stages, including CBGB's, Bitter End, Webster Hall, under a couple of different names. I know her as Didi Champagne. You may know her from a previous stage identity. Also the limelight, outdoor festivals, radio interviews, while still maintaining her classical background on vocals, and she still performs at Carnegie Hall, at Lincoln Center, Rockefeller Center Christmas shows. And she's performed at the United Nations for a benefit for Save the Children. She can certainly rock it. So we're going to find out what Didi's going to bring us today. Please welcome Didi Champagne.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me unmute.
You have muted yourself, Didi.
Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. It's such an honor to be here with everybody. It was such a beautiful program. And thank you so much, George, for having me. This is once again such an honor. Like I said, being on the New York City stages for close to 40 years. And I do have a few CDs under my belt. And all the music I've been writing is all original with poems. Just wanted to show you my poetry book. And it has all my artwork in it. But once again, everybody was wonderful. This song is entitled Middle Earth. Do you regret being born? What would you like to hear? Don't look all surprised. Someday you'll have to buy your own air. Let your flowers push through Middle Earth. Ooh, 'cause I've got the high in my hand. Let your flowers push through Middle Earth. Here's to your mistress in lace. Let me share your company. For we're a part of shooting stars. Here's a kiss for your memory. Let your flowers push through Middle Earth. Ooh, 'cause I've got the high in my hand. Let your flowers push through Middle Earth. Cause that's just how some fruit tumbles. Cause that's just how some fruit tumbles. In excelsis Deo, dona nobis patris. Let your flowers push through Middle Earth. High in my hand. your flowers push. Let your flowers push. Through Middle Earth, through Middle Earth. Let your flowers push through Middle Earth, high in my hands. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let your flowers push through Middle Earth, high in my hands. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let your flowers push through Middle Earth, high in my hand. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
This gentleman was Didi Champagne. Who was you had a guitarist with you? Do you want to say who it was? Microphone, microphone. Microphone. Fix your mic and tell us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, his name is Guy. He's a teacher. Do you want to come here? I'll just turn this.
Hello, hi everyone. How are you?
All right, Guy.
Hi.
This guy is teacher and a lead guitarist.
Yes, he's a teacher, and also he does music charts, and he's a performer, jazz performer.
Great, thank you. Thanks again, Didi Champagne, Howie Faerstein, Sotschen-Hochman, Zev Torres from New York City. Well, friends, in about an hour and 50 minutes, we have done a beautiful, really a fabulous sixth and concluding show in Poets Building Bridges. I want to thank you all for your participation from Chennai, India, from Bolton, England. Over the course of 6 weeks, we've had guests from southeastern England, Essex, and Suffolk. Here in China, we've had here from India, we've had 2 groups of people from Italy, the lower Rio Grande Valley of that's the Texas-Mexican border, Romania, Bulgaria, Colombia, Georgia, the Armenian diaspora, and the Korean diaspora. And of course, many poets from New York City joining with you all. It's been a fabulous triangulation project. And this one is an apt conclusion to it and brings us full circle to what originated the idea for these events in the first place. So I want to thank you all for joining us, those of you in the audience who've been with us off and on along the way. And I'm just going to turn it back to Dave Morgan with appreciation for his having been the compere and host from Worktown, Bolton, and the greater Manchester area. It's over to you, Dave.
Thank you, George. Words can't really do justice to privilege of being part of this experience. We never thought 3 or 4 years ago that we would be gracing some international stage like this. And it's been a real privilege. It's just great to be part of an almost worldwide community with such variety and yet such central themes, such consistent themes, and such obvious humanity. So thank you all for gracing this occasion and making it a really memorable one. It's just inspirational. I shall go and get writing immediately, or tomorrow, whichever comes first. Right, okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, George, for that. I know how much effort has gone into this. It's no mean feat. And well, I was going to say, let's hope you do it again, but depends on you. But it's a wonderful one-off, miraculous kind of thing that you've achieved, bringing all of us together. Thank you all the performers.
Completely effortless, Dave.
Thank you.
No, it's
I will say, watch for us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Don Krieger's website, his YouTube account.